first year as a respiratory therapist, and there's a global respiratory pandemic going on, you know?
Hi, everybody. This is Brooke, and on behalf of MDF Instruments, I would like to welcome Garry. Can you just introduce yourself and kind of tell us a little bit about your job and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a respiratory care practitioner, also known as a respiratory therapist. And basically, what we do is we work in all areas of the hospital and we work with all patient populations. So, starting out with infants, we are there when they are born, during labor and delivery. And, sometimes if there's complications, we have to get their airways handled and protected and sometimes intubated. And then we're also doing breathing treatments for asthmatics or COPD patients, and we manage the ventilator, so patients on life support in the ICU.
Well, that's really very important job, and I'm sure what's happening. I'm sure that you've been very busy.
Yes.
Wow.
It's been really, really busy, and it's a lot.
So how long have you been a registered respiratory therapist?
So I actually just surpassed my 1 year mark, like the other day. So I'm still a new grad. Yeah, it's exciting. It's crazy. It just like flew by.
Wow. So can you tell us a little bit about schooling for that and how that works?
Yeah, so every program is different. They have some fast track programs, and but the way that I went is I went to community college, and so I took all of my preclinical courses at two different colleges, and then I transferred to the college with the respiratory therapy program, and I applied for the college, and it was about like a year and a half of just the program, and we rotated at 5 different facilities here in LA. And I graduated last year.
Amazing. So, so you graduated, and now you work full time.
Yeah, I work at 2 different facilities. I work at one in like the South Bay area, and then I work at one here in LA. So I'm more full time at the one here in LA, and then I'm like per diem at my other one.
That's really very important job. So for shifts, how do shifts work? Do you work like night, day? Does it like kind of change depending on your schedule? How do you really kind of make that happen?
Yeah, so I actually have the luxury of working any shift that I wanted to, but at my main facility, I work nights. So at my per diem facility, I also work nights. So working night shift at both of them.
What time does a night shift start, and like what time does it end?
We start at 6 p.m. and we end at 6:30 a.m. So thankfully, I'm lucky that at both hospitals we start at the same time. Because I remember as a student, some facilities start at 6:30, some start at 7. But yeah, my hospital it's 6 to 6:30.
Wow. Okay, so you do not go to sleep at night.
No, definitely not. I try and go to sleep from like 8 a.m. until I try to sleep until like 4 p.m.
Okay. Okay.
It doesn't always work out, but I try.
All right. So what kind of advice do you have for people who have to work night shifts? Do you have like any advice on how you kind of get through that, or does your body just kind of acclimate as you do it longer?
I feel like I was really blessed in the sense that I was already a night owl, so it wasn't too hard for me to adjust to staying up a few hours later because normally I'd stay up until like 2 to 3 anyways. But a big thing that I say is snacks. I bring like 3 meals throughout the night because I eat when I get there, and then you have to eat again in the middle of the night, and then in the morning before you leave, maybe. So you just have the food and the fuel to keep you going, and definitely drink lots of water.
Yeah, stay hydrated. Do you have any favorite kind of snacks that you like to have?
I love any kind of like bars that are high in protein because they can like fill you up like for a period of time if you're super busy, so you can kind of just like chew down on a bar. But I'm actually kind of obsessed with these frozen meals called Devour, and also PF Chang's. PF Chang's makes frozen meals, and they're really good.
That's awesome. So, did you always know that you wanted to get into respiratory therapy, or did you kind of just fall into it? Can you tell us a little bit about how you really came in to do what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So, growing up, I was actually a really creative individual, more into like the arts and entertainment, and I have a past history of like being an actor and all that stuff. But my grandma was actually a respiratory therapist, and so as a kid, I don't really think I knew exactly what it was, but back then they used to wear the white coats and they would kind of look like doctors. And I just knew that she was like something really cool in the medical field. And I just always had an interest in it. And, I would actually go to work with her. Like she worked night shift also. And I would just go and hang out. And now I don't think that's allowed, but maybe back then it was a little different.
Yeah.
Still wasn't allowed. But yeah, so I was just always intrigued with what she did, and I always looked up to her. And so when I was in college for film, like I said, I was already acting, so I knew what it was like to work on a set, and I really loved editing. And but working on the set, I was like, it's not really financially stable. And so I started looking into other programs at my college at the time, and all they had was nursing, but I was looking at like medical programs and all they had was nursing. And so I started to research like other medical careers, and I came across respiratory, and I was like, wait, my grandma's an RT, like why didn't I think of this sooner? It's so weird. I don't know why it never clicked. But then I started reading about it and researching more, because I don't think I ever really knew what she did. And it was just so intriguing because it's such a specialized field. And so I just looked up respiratory programs around me, and I went to the nearest school, and yeah, that's how I got into it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It sounds like it was just kind of meant to be. You found your way into and doing what your grandma did. That's a beautiful story. I love that.
Yeah, and she's like my best friend, so she really loves that I followed in her footsteps. So
Yeah, I'm sure she's so proud of you, and I bet you can go to her for advice and be like, "Hey, Grandma, I have this issue. What do you think?" And I'm sure she loves being able to help you with that.
yeah, it's really cool to have her there and to have that extra support system.
That's awesome. Are you originally from Los Angeles, or where are you from originally?
Yeah, I was actually born in Burbank, and I grew up in Santa Clarita in like the Valencia area. A lot of people know like Six Flags Magic Mountain. So I grew up over there, and yeah, now I live in Hollywood.
So, other than your passion in medicine, obviously, is what else? What other things do you have passion for aside from healthcare? Are you into like health and fitness, or are you still doing acting, or do you have other things that really interest you?
Well, I was into going to the gym before COVID-19, so that's those body goals are kind of squashed right now. gotta keep up with the home workouts. But yeah, like I said, I'm a really creative individual and into the arts and acting. I'm not well, productions are shut down right now, so I haven't been doing anything lately. But yeah, I love editing. I love bringing any sort of like conceptualized ideas and like to fruition that I have. I like doing short films and writing, and I love traveling and hiking. And so I think anything to kind of get out of the healthcare, because like I work all the time, and when I come home, I'm still thinking about my patients. So kind of anything to have like a little side passion. Um, I think it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially right now, your job is already stressful, but adding COVID-19 into the mix, I'm sure it's even more stressful and more tiresome and worrisome. So it's
Yeah.
good to have some sort of outlet that you can kind of just unplug for a little bit.
Yeah.
'Cause I know that healthcare workers, especially, like you guys put your heart into everything, and I know that it's really hard sometimes to disconnect from that. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with COVID-19?
Yeah, for sure. So, every week it's definitely different. Sometimes, like a couple weeks ago, our ICU was completely full and we had no more ventilators. So it was a little scary in the sense that, like, if there's a code blue right now, what would we do? But now that was about 2 weeks ago, and now we have a whole bunch of ventilators and our ICU is not full. So it's definitely a week by week thing. Sometimes we think, oh, it's kind of slowing down, and then it picks up. But it's definitely been harder and more different than anything. I think we approach everything completely different. It's a little more scary going into the rooms and, you know, trying to make sure we have all of our protective barriers. Yeah, it's definitely different and it's tough, but at the same time, you know, like on a day off, I'm always wondering, like, I want to like go back to know like how that patient's doing. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I imagine it is. I can tell just by talking about it that it's definitely something that because you're walking into that battle, and you know that you want to help other people, but you also know that you're putting yourself at risk, and
Mhm.
to be able to do that is so brave, and we really commend you, and thank you so much for stepping up and sacrificing and taking risks to help other people. It's really beautiful, and I want you to know how much we appreciate you,
Thank
um,
you.
and what you do, because without you, you are literally like the barrier between us and COVID-19. So thank you so much
No,
for.
thank you. You're so sweet. I know it's a lot. You know, my first year as a respiratory therapist, and there's a global respiratory pandemic going on. You know.
what what do you think that if you were to say like this is something that would help us, or if people only knew to do this, or something that you need for your job that you're not getting, is there anything there that you could kind of shed light on?
You know, I think it's really hard for people to truly understand how intense COVID-19 is. You know, you can look at the numbers, you can see that it's happening everywhere, but there's also videos of people not wearing masks and people just going out and drinking, going to the bars, and because it's not affecting you, you don't necessarily, some people don't think much of it, you know, and I kind of wish I could record a day and just show everybody what it's like and how intense these situations are and just how different, you know, these patients are. We honestly don't know what to do. We're trying experimental drugs and different procedures, and you know, we're trying to look at what Italy did and what New York has done, and it's scary that like we don't know what to do, and we don't have the answers, and we don't have that medicine, you know. So I just wish that people could just do one little thing and wear a mask and not complain about it, and keep up hand hygiene and social distance, because I think when it was getting really crazy, especially here in California, when we did implement those measures, those safety measures, the closing of businesses and mandatory masks, you know, we weren't over flooded in our hospital. And so I think it really did help to flatten the curve.
Mhm.
And now with more businesses opening up, I think it's, you know, a little scary because the numbers are climbing. So I think it's just important to still act as if this is like a really scary thing. You know, I think you know, we do have to go back to living life and doing things, but still, if you don't have to go outside, don't go outside. And, you know,
Absolutely.
we're sometimes using trash bags like as shoe covers. So we don't always have the protective stuff.
I think people need to also realize that it's not just about them. It's not just about like, oh, I'm, in my 20s, and if I get sick, it's no big deal. I'm going to be fine. Like, people are making a big deal out of this. And it's like, it's not about you. It's about, yeah, you might be in your 20s and you might be perfectly healthy and you might be fine. You might not be fine, but also it's about what you're bringing to the people who wouldn't be fine, the immune compromised people, the older people, and also just not I try to explain to people, I'm like, it's also just not making the hospitals feel like so overwhelmed if we don't have beds for people who have other kinds of concerns, because if their beds are filled with everybody who has COVID-19, then where are they going to put people who have other kinds of issues if the beds are full? You guys have been breaking your backs for months. This has been happening, and there's only so much energy that we have, that you can keep working like this, and the hours and the stress before it just starts to wear on you so much. So everybody really needs to take part, wear their masks, stay home if they can, social distance, wash your hands, and just really stay home for the health care workers, so that you guys can do your jobs until we can get a vaccine and get this under control, because it is very serious. And I think that people need to be aware of that it's not just about them. And if they get sick, they're going to be fine. It's just so much of a bigger picture than that.
Oh my gosh, I wish everybody had your mentality. That I couldn't have spoken truer words. Yeah, it's, and actually lately we've been seeing a lot of like 25 to 35-year-olds. So I think a lot of people with that young and healthy mentality, we're hoping that it's not as bad for people without issues. So yeah, it's crazy. I wish it was over already. There's definitely healthcare workers who aren't even coming into work, and we're short staffed, and it's scary.
And has your protection, do you have proper PPE, or do you feel like you're still not getting the proper equipment that you need to feel safe?
So thankfully, especially at my main facility, like I have to say, we're so lucky with everything that we have. Every day we are given a face shield, and we're giving like 5 surgical masks, and we're given an N95 mask, and they have washable gowns. We ran out of plastic gowns, but they ended up getting some washable gowns from a company, and so they're doing everything that they can. But at my other facility, we aren't getting care packages every day. I'm using my same face shield from 3 months ago. They're having us reuse N95 masks, or they're giving us like an off-brand that some of us don't really like trust. And that's the facility where I'm using like patient belonging bags to like cover my shoes, and but there's definitely been people who have bigger issues where they're not getting anything. So I'm grateful for the things that we do have.
We definitely all need to work on that and making sure you guys are protected. That's the least I think that everyone can do to make sure that you guys are well equipped to do your jobs. What advice would you have for students who are interested in doing what you do, or interested in getting into healthcare in general? Do you have any kind of advice on anything you would like them to know going in, or how to kind of get involved in it?
I think like such a big part of it is just don't doubt yourself. I was there, and so many people messaged me saying that they don't know if they can do it, and thinking of it like a big medical program, it sounds scary. So I always tell people, just think of it like another class. Just treat each class as it comes, and read and study, and you'll do fine. And there's people who are scared because they come from a different country, or they speak a different language, or English isn't their first language. And there's so many healthcare workers who English isn't their first language. They're all from different countries. And it's so beneficial for patients because our patients don't just speak English. So I think people who have that mentality, definitely don't think of it like that. It's beneficial for the patients to have somebody who speaks a different language. And if it's genuinely something that you're compassionate about and interests you, then go for it and don't give up. And when it's something that you're interested in, it makes you want to learn more. And when you know that you need to know certain information to save someone's life, it just makes you like want to study and want to know it. So just don't give up and don't doubt yourself, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I
And
love
if you're in LA, go to Los Angeles Valley College for respiratory therapy, because it was a really good school.
that. Amazing. Yes. Love that. That's awesome. I think, I think one foot in front of the other. Sometimes it's just doing one step at a time, and
Yes.
persistent, and not getting discouraged if you fail a test or you fail something, because that's how you learn, that's how you grow. And then you're not going to fail the next time, and you got to be perseverant and keep going. If you dream it, you can achieve it. I totally agree with that. And I think,
Yes. and don't be scared to be hands-on. A lot of people are, once you get into your clinical rotations, a lot of people get a little shy. And that's really where I learned to be my best, was as a student, and just like going for it, or saying, can you show me this? Can you teach me how to do this? Because once you're no longer a student, you're on your own. So you really want to know how to set things up, and handle treatments and speak up. yeah, it's important.
Sometimes in order to learn how to swim, you just got to jump right in, you know?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
just go for it. That's the best way to learn sometimes is you have to practice and you have to put all that knowledge from reading and studying to practice and use and with practice. So that's awesome that you learned
Yeah.
the best. Well,
Yeah.
Garry, it was so much fun talking with you. I'm so glad that you sat down with us today. I really enjoyed having a conversation with you and kind of helping to inspire young people who want to get into what you're doing. And also, we want to say thank you so much for all of your hard work. And you are a true hero going out there
Well,
and saving
thank you.
lives and helping people. So we really appreciate you. We're so happy to have you.
You guys are so supportive and everything. And, having such a big company like you guys help represent people of all colors, shapes, and sizes and everything and giving us a voice is just really important. So thank you.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And we'll go ahead and link your Instagram and all of your information to the video so that people can find you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.